Bindu ma'am, shall we start?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just let this person also in and we'll just start the session. Okay, good afternoon and welcome to the 14th session of AI Teacher Community by Enable by Shibi Anand. Thank you for joining us today after a long break. Today, once again, we have with us Bindu Kia ma'am, who took the 12th session for us on creative and critical thinking. Today's session is based on CBSE grade 11 and 12 AI curriculum, and she would take us through storytelling using data. For those who don't know her, let me introduce her to you. Ms. Bindu K.R. works as an assistant professor in Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, Coimbatore. She's an experienced educator with a demonstrated history of working in computer software industry. She's professionally skilled in Oracle SQL Developer, Python, C++, C, Java, and web programming. She completed her MTech from NIT Trichy and has published around 10 papers in international conferences and journals. She is pursuing her research in neural machine translation in Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. She was part of the organizing committee of the prestigious Grace Hooper Women in Computing conducted by Anita Borg Institute and was an ACM student chapter coordinator. Her areas of interest include natural language processing, machine learning, deep learning, and databases. It is such an honor and privilege to have you with us again today to walk us through storytelling with data. Welcome to the session, ma'am, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Shibi Anand, for giving me an opportunity to speak to this august audience. Okay, so I'll straight away, without further ado, I'll start with my session. So first I'll share a video with you all. If you're not hearing the voice, you can just tell me. Should I? Are you able to hear the screen? See the screen?
If you could just play it, I would be able to let you know.
Okay, my screen is shared, right?
Yeah, screen is shared. Yes, the audio is coming up.
Yeah. So first you can just have a look at this. I won't play the whole. I think it's only 3-minute video.
Started on October 25th, 2015. It's almost we are in week 43 now, 10 months down the line. And I remember, I live right on the ocean, and when you see the ocean from my balcony, I could see plastics and plastics and plastics. I used to every day open my balcony and see it. And somewhere it ticked my head, the oceans are not healthy, there's a problem in hand. But actually, I didn't know what to do. I mean, generally in India, if there's a problem, you approach the government. You see, you approach the local municipality. But I said they have not been doing for 70 years now, so it's obvious. You could see this is something happening. So I decided in my head that I'm going to wear gloves and come on the beach. So 2 became 3, 3 became 4, 4 became more, and now we are here in week 43 with more than 200 people. And they're all regular volunteers. Mind you, this is not like an event happening on a Saturday and Sunday where people will just come in and next Saturday, Sunday. We have a huge WhatsApp group, everybody's on, and we are all ocean lovers to the core. And that's why we are sticking like a glue for so long.
Can you see the film? If we don't remove, who's going to remove it? As a citizen, I think somebody has to take a lead. If we start, I'm sure more residents of Baslowa will come up. And along with BMC's help, we are trying to clear this in the maximum.
BMC is heavily involved with the project. BMC and the local MLA is also aware. The ultimate goal is to change the mindset of the equally people here in this village.
So there are 19 beaches in Bombay. I'm working on one beach. Our whole group is working on beach. I would want this model to be replicated throughout 18 beaches. In fact, I'm getting phone calls from different locality, and we are actually. My group, whole group, BRVs are basing up to make sure that this model is replicated all over Mumbai.
BRV is probably bigger. There's another one called Beacho Beach, and Beacho Beach is also, like I was saying, they go around to different beaches, Versova, Juhu. They go to schools and they're starting some new things with schools.
Clean, decent environment is the only heritage which you're going to pass to the next generation. I hold it in trust for the next generation. And if you are not going to do it now, it will never happen. This is the time. This is now. I would request all Mumbaika that they can replicate this model all over 19 beaches.
Our citizens have to be alert and they have to wake up. It's not only blaming BMC, it's our habits. We are dumping things here. We are not putting things in the right. If you want Swachh Abhiyan, start it from right today.
I will stop this. Share my screen. Are you able to see the slide?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Is the slide clear?
Yes.
So please keep that video in mind. We'll come to that. Okay. So because we are polluting our nature so much, so that is why I started off with that video. And I'll just build the story around it, how we will come to that. Okay. Like as kids and as elders also, all of us have a liking of hearing stories, right? Most of us, I don't know if I can see a show of hands as to anybody who doesn't like hearing stories.
I don't think
Anyone?
you'll get one.
Yeah, because most of the people, they have liking interest, right? Some may like, say, comedy stories, some may like horror stories, some may like different kind of story they may like, right? So what is the big deal about storytelling with data? That is what we are going to focus on today's lecture. Okay? I'll just throw some light into what we will be looking at. We'll basically look at the importance of storytelling with data, some of the use cases, the exploratory data analysis, data visualization tips, and data dashboards. Okay? I'll be sharing the slides, so you don't have to note down anything. I'll share the slides. So most of my presentation is built around this book that is published by Call. Okay, so she actually worked in Google, and now she owns the company Storytelling with Data. Okay, so the website, the textbook download link, everything is given in the slide, so you can have a look at it. So my most of the references are taken from this textbook, this book.
Bindu, ma'am.
Yeah.
Occasionally your voice is breaking.
Okay, maybe I'll connect to 1 minute.
Yeah.
I'll connect with my mobile data. Give me a second. Just a second.
No problem.
Is it better now?
Yes, yes, it is, ma'am.
Sorry for the technical glitch.
No problem.
So are you able to see this slide? So
Yes.
let's start. Okay. So you need to count the first the person has counted. They can tell me. You have to count the letter C. Maybe this would have come in WhatsApp or something.
5, is it 5?
Yes, 5. But you people took a little time, right, to find out how many C's are there. Okay.
I could only get 4.
So somebody has, yeah. Now,
Yes. Now it's 5.
so what is the difference between the previous picture and this one? Anyone?
You have to concentrate more on the first picture than the second picture.
Second one is
Yeah.
very obvious. It stands out. The C stands out.
Yeah, here we have actually highlighted the C's, right? So the same thing applies to when you're dealing with data also. When you're dealing with data, you have to say, when you're doing a data presentation, you need to project what you need to communicate to the audience. Okay, that is a takeaway message here. Yeah. Now please look at these pictures. What actually catches your attention?
Odd one.
What is actually catching your attention?
The odd one out of the whole group.
Yeah, these things we have actually done when we did our aptitude test, right? Whenever we did the aptitude test in the bank examination, all we have seen all these kind of data. So wherever the first one, the slanting line comes to a mind, right? In the second one, the straight line comes to a mind, and so on. So when we are representing the data, when you are visualizing the data, you have to keep in mind whatever you want to project has to be highlighted in a fashion that it differs from the previous, whatever that is there in the background. Okay, so that is a takeaway message from this. So these kind of attributes, you actually call it as, are you able to see my pointer?
Yes.
Okay. So these attributes are called pre-attentive attributes. Pre-attentive attributes. Okay. So these things have to be kept in mind. My net is slow. Or maybe the image is very heavy. Yeah. Now please have a look at this picture. So which one catches your eyes?
Stop.
Yeah, because you can see that it is in red. Okay, most of the time when something is in red, it catches our eyes. That is why when we have a stop signal, that is also red in color, right? So that is a very important takeaway message from this. The colors matters when you do any data representation. At another picture. You get bored, please tell me.
No, no, no. This is really interesting. I would request all the teachers to make sure that you interact, because it's not a one-way session. All these sessions are two-way communication. So if you interact, it will get more interesting.
Yeah. So in this picture, what catches your eyes first?
For me, the pink. What about the others?
Perennial
What
seed.
about the others?
Perennial seed.
Yeah, perennial seed. Because that is having a lighter color and having a black letter. So it has a high contrast, right? So whenever you have representation with these high contrast, that also catches our eyes, right?
Right.
Now, sir, can you infer something or anything catches your eyes?
First one, the bigger one.
Different kinds of balloons, different patterns.
Yeah, because from this, we can't focus, right? Because there are a lot of colors, lot of sizes. I can't focus. So if you do a data visualization in this manner, it is not going to convey anything to the audience. Now have a look at this.
Very clear.
Yeah, very clear, right? So the red balloon catches our eyes. So when you're representing something, you needn't think that, okay, if my graph is having lot of colors, if my visualization is having lot of colors, it will convey a lot of information to the audience. That is actually a myth, okay? It means that you should have some contrasting colors, and the colors should not take away the information. The colors should be subtle, and it should be pointing out whatever information that has to be conveyed also. Okay? So that is a take-home message. Now I'll show you some of the charts, which is, so can you see here, as it is a pandemic situation, I've taken a chart map where how the states are affected by the pandemic. Now, is there anything wrong with this chart?
One color is not in the legend.
Yeah, that is there. Otherwise,
I am
the
not able
colors,
to understand.
the color, because we are not able to make much, because the colors are almost gradation, right? Some gradation only is there. And like if we take, unlike that is in many folks, they have some color blindness issues.
Right.
So when you're choosing colors like this, you have to be very clear. Most of the time, the red, green and all are very much problematic for the colorblind people. Okay. This is also not much better, but this is better for a colorblind person because it is also not that much, but some gradation is there. Okay. Now please look at this. As a picture, it is very nice, right?
Right.
But information conveyed, it's very, very difficult to decipher, right?
Right.
Do you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, no comparisons.
Yeah, because a lot of things, because the ball sizes and all they've given, but it's very difficult for a person to understand at a single glance, right? If you just go through it, maybe we'll be able to make out. So this was just a death count of various pandemics as a ratio of world population. Okay, so this image is very appealing, but it doesn't convey information because you have to concentrate on it for at least for 10 to 15 minutes. Then only you will be able to make out what it is. What about this?
Very busy.
Yeah, because you can see a lot of colors. So this is the Charles and Blow says that it is just for confusing, right? So when you confuse the audience, it is equivalent to drunken man uses lamppost for support, right? Rather than for the illumination, right? So here we have drawn a pie chart, but it is not going to convey information. At least on this part, we can understand something, but this part is just like for show we have kept, right? It doesn't convey the information that is there. Okay. So whenever you go for pie chart is a very good tool for representing information when you want to tell something about part as a whole, right? But whenever you go for pie chart, please keep in mind instead of hundreds, you can try 3 and certainly no more than 6. If you have more than 6 to be represented, you go for a bar chart. That will be a better option. Okay, better option. Are you able to relate? Are you able to relate now?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Now please look at this.
Looks like someone has scribbled on
Yeah, some child has
different
drawn.
crayons.
So the same thing applies here also, right? This kind of graph doesn't convey any information. Only thing is that it's some fancy drawings. So if you look into the web, you will be seeing hundreds of visualization, which are not conveying any information. Okay, so you can just Google what are the bad visualization. If you Google itself, you will get all these images. I put the link below every slide, so you can look up. Now, what is the problem with this?
To differentiate between the different shades of red.
Here also the same color
Yeah,
psychology.
all is red.
Yeah, all is red because it's very difficult to differentiate between different shades of red, right? So the same thing applies here also. Okay, so here it was a survey of an American community survey that is given. So this also has a problem. Yeah. Maybe I'll move this. Yeah. So this is the profile of, say, human cancer in this. So does it, should it be 3D?
I don't understand. I'm not able to make sense of this particular one.
That is, the statistician Nathan Yu says that if you see a 3D chart, for no reason, the person has drawn a 3D chart, you have to question the person. That's what he says. He says the data, chart, and the maker, everything is
Based on the chart.
questionable. Okay, everything is questionable. Yeah, look at this. The same data put into different forms. Here you can see there is a gradation, but here you can see the gradation is not. Okay. So here, what they do is there are a lot of lies also shown using charts. Okay. This is one example for that. So bar chart, how does it convey information based on the length, right? Based on the length. So here they have just adjusted it so that you can see the gradation. But whereas here, there is no, actually in their experimental result, there is no gradation, but they somehow brought it by doing this kind of things. Okay, so these are all, there are, if you see lies in visualization, lies in data analysis, you will get plenty of articles on that. Okay, because everybody is in a hurry to complete their research. So they just cook up some data and then, but if the person is a true data analyst, they will be able to make out whether it is a cooked up data or on a real-time data. Okay, that can be actually found out by an experienced data analyst. So this is also another representation, that is how much sleep we need at each stage of our age, right? There are so many kinds of representation. No, this is one kind of representation where they are showing the age. Here they are showing the age with the side, the cartoon of the person. Here they are not showing, they're just showing the actions and denoting whether the person is 18 to 25 years or 0 to 3 months. So these are all kinds of data representation that you'll be able to see. Yeah. Can you please have a look at it? So what the graph is trying to convey is written on the right hand side. It is created by Blueberry Labs and it shows the most common colors used by the brands. Now, do you get any information?
Not much. Yeah, the colors, yes.
But you will be actually in a confused state where you have some intersection, right? Can you see some intersection over here?
Yes.
Images. So these are all confusing. I'll just because the size of the bubble is not having any relationship. You can see the 29% and the 95% almost same size,
Same.
right? Then the overlap of the bubbles, there is an unintentional Venn diagram which can be misleading because data science is basically for statistics, right? Any data visualization you are doing is for getting the statistics out of the data, right? So
Right.
if you represent your data in this form, it is going to mislead the person rather than make the person understand the data. Okay, so these are all things that you should not do when you are doing some data visualization. Now, all of you have heard the story of Goldilocks and the 3 bears, right? Anyone? Yes? I don't know how many of you, can I see a show of hands as to
I
how many
have
of you know
not.
the story? Goldilocks and the Three Bears.
I have not.
Earlier.
I think maybe in kindergarten we would have heard. I'll just put a quick outline for that. There are actually three bears, one mama bear, papa bear, and a child bear, right? They're a very happy family. So in their house, you can see the chair size, you can see here. There are three beds also like that. There are three bowls also like that in their house. And what they do once they make porridge, and the porridge was very hot, so the bears go for a walk. When the bears return, the child bear and the mama bear, they actually check and find out that they have somebody entered their house. Okay, so they are very curious. They'll see that the baby bear's porridge vessel is empty, right? And then the baby bear is very curious as to what has happened, who has drank my porridge. Okay, so it goes and it finds out somebody has sat on my chair also. Then it again goes to mama bear's, papa bear's bed. Somebody has lied on that, because if somebody lies, you can see the wrinkles on the thread, right? Then the next bed, he says, yeah, somebody has lied on this bed also. Then finally, the baby bear finds that there is somebody sleeping on the cot. That was nothing but that was Goldilocks, right? So here, whenever you tell a story, there are some characters. So here our characters were the mama bear, papa bear, and the baby bear, and even the chair, the porridge, the cot, everything are elements in it. Not only that, only the human characters or the people who act in it are the characters, but even the elements, we can say that the chair and all those things add to values. So whenever you build a new story, it should have very interesting elements. Each element should have some identity, and the storyline should be built in such a way that people, when we are telling the story, people should be interested in listening to it, right? So in this, there should be a matter of suspense involved as to who has entered the house, right? Who has entered the house? So the baby bear is an inquisitive manner. The baby bear goes on and find out. Okay. So similarly, you can take up any story that you are interested in and demonstrate it to the kids. Like in the storytelling with data, Cole actually takes an example of the Red Riding Hood, because there are some stories which has different kind of endings, right? Different storytellers would have ended the story in a different way, right? Some people will like good happy ending. Some will like, say, sad ending, right? So depending upon that, they will make a different kind of a story. Because when my child was small, he never used to like if I tell a story and if I say okay, the character died, then he'll start crying when he was small. So what I used to do was, whatever story is there, I'll just transform it into a story in such a way that there will be a happy ending. Like we used to have the story of two cranes helping a tortoise to escape. Have you all heard about it? I think in the Panchatantra, I don't remember exactly. Have you heard that story? Two cranes trying to help a tortoise.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so the
Yeah, the
tortoise
tortoise in the middle of the stick. Is that story?
yeah, stick, yeah.
Stick.
So there, the tortoise speaks a lot, and it will fell off the stick and die, right? So there, I used to transform that part and tell him in a different way. So you can take up any of the Jataka stories or Panchatantra or a story that to suit the 12th standard kids and bring up the storyline. So when you are making the storyline, there should be the context of the story should be there, right? The elements or the characters of the story should be there. And it will, when you are telling the story, there will be a rise, right? The people will be, the listening mode will be high. But at one point of time, people will, oh, okay, like that kind of a feeling. Then again, in some cases, it will build on again, right? So, and the ending or the conclusion of the story. So the same scenario or the same thing has to be applied to data also. So when you're doing a data presentation or a data analysis and presenting to your audience, you should first see what is that is, if the audience are all of the similar genre, right? Say for example, sometimes say a person is presenting to a company where technologists are also present, sales managers are also present, because these days the sales managers as well as the technologists want to know about the data, right? So when they want to know about the data, when you're presenting it, if you put a lot of jargons, the sales manager will be in trouble because he won't be able to understand, and he'll be less interested and he'll switch off. So you have to grab the interest of the whole audience, then only your storytelling will be effective. So here I actually failed because many of you didn't know the Goldilocks story, right? So I should have taken the more popular story. That is what, because I thought maybe in my school days, I have read all the series. There is a full series of these kind of bear stories. Maybe I thought people would have read it. Okay, so you have to, so there I actually missed relating to the audience. Okay, so that is the case. Now, what are the basic steps? So what I told you, I have just put it into a slide. You have the context, you have the characters, you have the conflict and resolution, right? And then the happy ending. And yeah. So let us see one by one. What is the context? Context is nothing but you have a geographical location like a village or a community. You will start, no, long ago, so long ago, there was a village, there was a Raja, like we will start the story, we'll build up that context, right? So when we are telling, because nowadays, most of the people, they are not interested in the video part. Many of them are interested in the audio, right? I told you about social media that has come up, that is, Clubhouse. Because there, each one will be imagining, right? We can our imagination can run into different miles and bounds, right? But whereas when you are showing a video, your imagination is restricted. Okay. So here, the initial thing that you have to build up is your context. Okay. So the geographical location or a village or a community. So here, if these are all links, so you can click on these links and look at the videos, because if I show all the videos, it will take up much time. So there is a Sati that is taking healthcare to the doorstep. That is, people will go to each house in the community and see how healthy are people. That is, in the pandemic period also, you would have noticed the Asha workers, they used to come to the house by house and see if anybody is having a cold or a cough, all those things, right? So you can click on this link. This is, I think, 2016 initiative. You can click, because if I show all the videos, it will take up time. Okay, so it is put as a link only. Anytime you can click on it and see. Next thing is the characters. So story is incomplete without the characters. Only the context doesn't matter. So you need to have the characters. That is, it might be founders, it might be employees, beneficiaries, or any external person to it. So this statement I'm telling with respect to the data, right? That is, when I'm showing the data to the audience, I should be bothered about all these stakeholders. Then a character can be an inanimate object like the product also. You can actually look into the iPhone launch by Steve Jobs. Okay, so there, how he projects the iPhone as a character, that you can see. That is a very nice launch. Then characters has to be introduced, because when I say Mama Bear, Papa Bear, each one would have, so I should introduce each character also, right? So each character has, although they are appearing in the story because if you see Goldilocks, you're seeing the Goldilocks at the end, right? But the Goldilocks has a significant role in the story. Now here, I have shown you Green Force. So this is multiple individuals are there. So this is also a venture where they take up waste management. Okay, they take up waste management. So this one you can actually see. Then the third step is nothing but your conflict and resolution. So conflict, because when you have to build a storyline, there should be some conflict. Here, what was the conflict? The porridge was missing, right? So the porridge is missing. So where is my porridge gone? So based on that conflict, he got some inquisitiveness and started exploring. So it motivates us to conquer pain and fight challenges. So the dynamic nature of the story, thrilling nature of the story has to be built up. Okay. So the conflict in a good story may arise due to these factors. It might be a disaster, it may be a social evil, an economic diversity, and all those things. Okay. So depending on, because it needn't be a tragedy part itself, it can be a good thing also, right? So how we characterize it in our story, that is actually so the conflict and resolution is the main or you can say the heart of the story. So you will actually build, once you get an idea, you actually build around it for the whole story. Okay. Now there is another video where the new age of the biogas. Sorry, it tells you the story of a dairy farmer. He has some negative consequences of firewood. So what he does, he adopts a biogas system. Okay, so this video talks about this. So this is what. So what was the conflict? The negative consequences of the firewood, and he installs a biogas. That is a resolution. The conflict is resolved. Then happy ending. So when the story is a happy ending, you have a good feeling, right? And you get some. So usually good stories are positive stories, which help us to build a very nice feeling among the audience. But although if you see nowadays, most of the movies that come in this OTT platform and all are having some booth or like ghost stories or criminal background, all these things, and lot of violence is also being shown. People think that this will not be affecting the youngsters, but I don't think it will have a heavy impact on our next generation. Okay, so here I have put a link for the Village Capital Education. So what they did was they actually create Education India program. So they actually help the villagers to scale up their startups, make them entrepreneurs and so on. Okay, so that is the happy ending of the. So here I have taken different instances, and each one is a YouTube video is available. You can click on it and just explore how this, because it's not a related video. Each one is a different video, different scenario. Okay. So if we sum up, what are the steps? You need to have the context, you need to have the characters, you need to have the conflict and resolution, and then you need to have a happy ending or whatever. Okay. Happy ending will make us positive. Then in some stories, you have a point like call to action. So it will actually make us think, right? So the action can be anything. That can be a donation, a volunteering, or making sales, all those things, right? Say maybe it's a sales promotion, data analysis, or a sales promotion presentation. Then you may be interested in promoting the sales. In some cases, you may be asking for volunteers. In some cases, you may be asking for some donation, right? Because in this pandemic period, you would have come across a lot of videos which promote donations, right? And most of the time, we never know whether it is real or not, or maybe the person is faking. Actually, there was one case that was reported where a mother and a son hooked up a video like this for taking donation, and they actually raised a very huge amount. Actually, they were not having any ailment or anything, but they cooked up a story and ran away with the donation. Because whenever we hear in this pandemic situation, whenever we hear some person is in trouble, although we don't know that person, also we try to help them, right? So whenever you get such kind of videos, you should be alert. These kind of stories, you should have an alertness so that you will know that it is not a true or a false. You have to actually look up the truth in it, right? So this is Maan Ki Jeet. It is a protagonist short film to support through few this movie also you can see. Okay. So these are the basic steps whenever we do a story. Okay. So you can put it in a different proportion and make a very nice story. Now let us see. Now we come to what is a data storytelling. Okay. So with these things in mind, so in a data story telling, the first step is I'm just relating to the actual storytelling, the context for communication. So when you're having the context for communication, you should understand the audience. You should have a clear purpose or a goal for that story. Then you should have some feedback loop through which you can collect and remodify the story, right? Then how you are narrating the story to the audience so that the audience doesn't feel sleepy and sleep off or doze off, right? Like if you put representation, visual representation, like the ones I showed you, then the narrative will be very, very difficult, right? The person will not be able to relate anything, right? So you should have, because as soon as you start your storytelling with data, you should not just project a graph and start explaining. You should build the context for why I am doing this and slowly tell them what is the story behind it, what are the things we have done, and then come to the visualization part. Now, another major thing when we are having data is the data may not be full in all respect, in the sense because the data is always keyed in by the data entry operators. So the data entry operators may not be knowing the domain of the data in the sense whether it is a health sector data or whether it is say air flight data or and so on. So in some cases you might see that the months are entered, the months are having more than 12, right? So those kind of mistakes you should actually have a thing in there, and age cannot be negative. So many data checking has to be done. So whenever you get a data, as soon as you get a data, you cannot just say think that the data is cool and you can start the visualization. That is not possible at all. In some cases, the data may be unstructured data, because when we talk in terms of data, you have unstructured data. When data is stored in
Bindu ma'am.
database, when you store data is stored in a table, when you store data. Yeah, yes, ma'am.
No, suddenly your voice was breaking and we couldn't hear you. Now it's all right. It's come back.
Okay. Okay. So, so we were actually looking at the data storytelling. We were relating. You need to set the, then you need to look at the data as such. So when you're looking at the data as such, you need to see the quality of the data source. That is, in some data sheets, you will see that there is some missing values, right? Some of the columns will be empty. All these things you should, and you should do some statistical analysis as to, because, for example, you get a data with say 120 columns. It's about say 2000 records available there, then you have 120 columns for my data processing, or I can leave off some of them. That you have to actually decide on. Okay, that is this part, your quality data sources. This part you need the what you call it as a data pre-processing. Then you can actually go for the visual design. Then once the visual design is done, then you can apply different algorithms and get many insights of it. That is, you can go for a prediction, or you can go for a classification, or you can go for a clustering kind of an activity. So is it clear? Is there any doubt or?
No, that's clear. Bindu ma'am, I was wondering, since the voice was breaking in between, if you want, you can disable your video So the
yes.
audio will come without any disturbance because you're sharing your screen also and you're
Yeah.
on the mobile data.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fine. It's clear, ma'am. So far it is clear. I hope. Teachers, do you have any questions?
Any queries till now? Can I continue?
Yes, ma'am. You can continue.
So this is what is called as your exploratory data analysis part. So you have a problem definition, then you do the data mining, your data preparation, your exploratory data analysis, feature engineering. Feature engineering is what I told you. That is, you have your data. From that, you take up some of the features. 120 features you are having. You think that 120 features are not required. I can actually do my data analysis with say 12 features itself. Okay. How to find out that? There are various techniques available. Then once features are, that is called as a feature extraction also. And then you can build the model and the model evaluation can be done. So once a model evaluation is done, you find that the model is not fit, again, you can come back and do some feature extraction and all this part. That is your exploratory data analysis. Now, what are the tools that is, these are the steps. I put it in a different way also. You distinguish the attribute. You can do a, I hope the teachers are aware about the statistical analysis. So you have univariate analysis and bivariate analysis. So univariate is you just take a column from data and see that column how it is varying, right? For example, if there is an age column, you can take that age column and see which is the maximum age, which is the minimum age. Like if there are some any negative values somebody has keyed in, that has to be removed. All those things. That is your univariate analysis. Univariate analysis. Then you have your bivariate or a multivariate analysis. These analyses are done to see with the relationship between different features. That is your bivariate analysis. Then you can go for, so once those feature extra, then you can go for the missing values. Then you can detect the outliers. Outliers is nothing but, for example, you have some data which has income. Okay, so we have a income of people from India. Now, if I have Ambani's income included, then the average will come as a very big amount, right? So Ambani will be a outlier in this case. Okay, so like whenever we are taking placement statistics also, there may be two people who will be placed in a company which is paying 53 lakhs per annum. So if I have that person included, the average pay package for the placement will go high. So if any outliers are there, outliers are nothing but which is not fitting into the range of data, that has to be removed, the feature engineering. Then you can go for the business insights. Now, whenever you are using this, you can use tools. The tools are, say, for example, you can use R, you can use Python, right? These are two tools you can use. In addition to that, there are a lot of data visualization tools available. Some are open source and some are paid. So you have the Tableau, right? That is a paid version. And you have RapidMiner was there. I think there is AnswerMiner also available. So many tools are available. So here, if you see the standard tools for analysis, working with data in Python is Pandas and a NumPy. And visualization tools include Matplotlib, Seaborn, and Plotly. Okay, so these are the tools that are available. Now, this is a visualization that is in one of the company. People, they wanted to measure the job satisfaction of different employees, okay, and the sensitivity to the manager quality, because you know the boss has to be always be Any queries?
No, ma'am. By mistake, one of the
Yeah, so,
teacher had
yeah.
unmuted.
Yeah, so here you can see highly influenced by the manager, influenced by the manager, not influenced by the manager, right? So here in these kind of situation, if I just project this data, we will not be understanding anything, right? So I should put the context as to, yeah, I conducted a survey for my employees and I actually wanted to analyze the job satisfaction and the sensitive to manager quality. Then I should actually project it and see these are highly sensitive. These are the count of the highly sensitive people, and less sensitive, and so on. Okay, I should build the story. Okay, that is what is. Then we'll explore. There are a lot of data because if you see during the pandemic situation, you would have seen lot of data dashboards being shown in all the news, right? So to build a data dashboard, there are a lot of tools available. Some are paid, some are open source. So the Data Studio by Google, that is a free one. You can actually explore it. I'll just show you as soon as I finish off with my slide. Maybe I'll. And yet another tool to make your storyboard. Last session I had shown you a Milanote, right? So similar to that, there is yet another tool called Miro, which you can build your storylines. So this is also yet another tool. And if time permits, I'll show you certain charts that can be done using Matplotlib and CMON. How much time we have?
Ma'am, we have time. It's 3:50 now. So you
Okay.
can go till 4:30.
Okay. So here, so mainly we had actually looked at the importance of storytelling with data, some of the use cases, EDA, data visualization tips I have shared with you. Now let us go to the data dashboard demo. Okay. So if you have any questions till now, I'll be happy to take.
Bindu ma'am, actually this chapter is there in both grade 11 and 12. Okay, and this chapter needs to be assessed practically. We are not supposed to put a theoretical test for the children. We are supposed to practically assess them. So will it be possible to throw some lights on that? How to assess the children?
Yeah, I'm coming to that.
Yeah.
That's what I asked, whether there is a time for a demo.
Yeah. And teachers, if you have any other questions, please feel free to type it in the chat box or unmute yourself and ask.
Yeah, they can ask.
Because I think all those who are taking grade 11 and 12th AI, this chapter is very, very important.
Shibi ma'am, it is actually for 12th, term 2 is completely storytelling.
Yes.
The unit storytelling is for the term 2 completely. So actually we are worried how we are going to cover the whole syllabus for this much mark.
You are already in 12th, Jyoti ma'am. Are you already, you do
Yes.
already have grade 12 this year?
Yes, ma'am. We are having 12th and we have 3 units in 12th. So unit 1 and 2, it seems to be big chapters, but it have been in term 1.
Okay.
And the storytelling chapter, it is in term 2.
Okay.
So theoretically also it is important, this storytelling.
Yes, very, very important. It's
In
also
11th,
important to understand how to present it to the class.
Yes.
So that they can know how to infer data and how to make sense of the data that is going to be, in front of them, to make stories out of that, to present or to make or spin stories out of data. It's very important to understand these concepts. Jyoti ma'am, we'll see what we can do regarding the storytelling session of the grade 12.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Bindu ma'am, over to you. Bindu ma'am, you're not audible. I think we
Left, Madam left.
I think Bindu ma'am is facing a small network issue. Bindu ma'am, if you are able to hear me, your mic is not working. Yes. Now it's
Can you hear
fine.
me now?
Yes, we can. You can unmute yourself, Bindu ma'am. Yeah, fine. It's come up. Are you sharing the screen? Yes.
This is, you can actually try.
Ma'am, is it possible to shift to another network because your voice is not coming across? It's breaking completely.
Are you able to see my?
Yes, we are able to see your screen, but your audio is coming all, we're not able to understand or hear it completely.
Okay. Is it better?
Yes, it seems to be better now.
Okay.
Let's go ahead. Yeah, it seems to be better now, ma'am.
So I'll just put in the chat box. I put a link in the chat box that is for the Miro note. Okay. So initially what you can do is for the initial classes, you can give them some storyboarding exercises. I will share. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, ma'am. We are able to see the screen. It's the Miro dashboard.
Yeah. So you can actually give them some exercises for story building, some scenarios you can give. Lot of scenarios are available. Okay, so you can actually, I'll just show you. I don't know whether if I switch to some other window, will it be visible? Is it visible?
Yes, it has come.
Yeah.
Satisfaction loss, storytelling with data. Yes, it's coming up, ma'am.
Yeah. So this is a site, storytelling with data. This is by Cole. So in that so this actually, if you just refer to this website, you will get 1 year content.
So is this the place where we need to look out for use cases and data which can be used to build stories?
Use cases, some are there. There are some other website. I'll share it to you by the end of the day.
Okay, ma'am.
There are a lot of websites available.
Okay.
And here you can see there are blogs, there are books, chart guide, how to make over, all those things. And actually you can encourage students to listen to these podcasts. There are videos also available. And I think the public workshop you'll be able to attend. You can actually become a member of this, okay? Storytelling with data. Cole is the CEO of this company. I'll share this link also with you all.
Storytelling with data, if the teachers remember, Divya had shared with us the links on storytelling with data. Yes.
My slide also it is there. In my slide also it is there. So you can have a look.
Those of you who have missed it can save this link.
Yeah.
It's a very useful site.
A very, very useful site, and the podcast and the videos are also very, very useful.
Yeah, Jyoti ma'am, you can just star these links. It's extremely useful for your sessions with 12th and 11th graders.
Sure, ma'am.
And you can actually, all the teachers can join this SWD community also.
We will do that.
Yeah, because some of the components it is paid. There is a free membership also available.
Okay, ma'am.
People can join. So whenever anything new comes up, they will actually send us the link.
Okay.
Or drop a mail that you can just tick mark it. Only thing is that our mailboxes will be full, but doesn't matter. But some useful things also we'll get, right?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. And they actually put in some challenges also.
Okay.
So here, this was one challenge for unit chart that has been given. So these are some charting exercises that was given. So you can actually go through it. Because if you look at the site, you will get a lot of ideas. So these are storytelling with data is one book, and yet another book is storytelling with data. Let's practice. that this will be more towards your practical oriented things, I suppose. Because the thought of finding a PDF, I didn't get it. So this book, I'll actually share it with you. This book I have. And yeah, many books are available now. And, yeah. Yeah, and some data sets are also available. So here I was discussing with you about the exploratory and explanatory analysis, right? So if I give the data like this, people are it's very difficult for them to understand, right? So
Yes.
they have shown us different ways how we can represent it. Okay. So this is also, everything is in the Dropbox. So once you log in, you will be able to access all these material. So you can see how, because if you want to project the squeaks, rattles, and noises, that is given with a different color. And see the subtle color combinations also being used. Not very flashy colors. Can you see that? Right? So most of the time, Cole uses all gray shades, and whatever she wants to project, she will use a little bit light, darker shade. Most of the time, it will be blue-gray combination. In this, it has become orange and gray.
Bindu,
Now this, yes.
I just
Are
found out you said that we can actually create an account with storytelling SWD. So where the link that you have shared, will it be available there for login? Will there be an option for login or?
Just a minute.
Oh yeah, I think I got it. I'll just paste
participate.
this link. I will just paste this link for
I
the
think
teachers.
participate, right? Participate.
Yeah, participate, and then you can click on the link that I've just posted now. This is the place where you can sign up. If you don't have an already account, you can sign up. I think all those who are taking 11 and 12 should definitely sign up with this storytelling with data community. Yeah, I got it, Bindu ma'am. Thank you.
Now, this was one challenge that was put forward in 2019. What kind of waste appears on UK beaches? Now, can you relate to the story that we saw in the beginning, right? That was the beach cleaning activity in India that was shown. Even in Coimbatore also, we have an organization called Sirithuli, which had cleaned all our lakes, and we have beautiful lakes now in Coimbatore city. We are so, like somebody is getting here. So we are so very proud to have that Sirithuli organization. Every weekend they do this activity. Now, the question is it sufficient that we clean up? But we have to actually look up what kind of waste appears in these beaches, right? Then only you will be able to manage the waste also. So what they do is, in India, we are just collecting the waste and sending it off. But whereas when they are collecting the waste in UK, they are actually finding out what is the percentage of plastic that is there, what is the packets that are there, glass. This is one challenge that was given in this website, where the data set is supplied by can you see this website? I'll post this website also. I'm not bombarding you with websites, but these are all good pointers. So every September, so we are anyway in August, so you can actually look out for this data. Every September, thousands of people take to the beach to clean up the beaches, right? So this activity, you can see so many things are there. You can click on these links and explore. And I think in this September, you will get more data also, right? So this is, so unlike the beach cleaning activity in India, the beach cleaning activity in Britain, what they do, whatever they collect, they actually find out what is the proportion in it. Can you see here? 425 litter item found. Yes. 30% of beach. So these kind of things. So what they can do is they will have some mobile app or something wherein they will keep on recording what they're collecting, and that data can be sent to the data center and they can come up with all these analysis. So once this analysis is done, then you will be able to find out. So they have given the dates also. I think 17th and 26th September. So after this, you can actually refer to this website. Then you will see the data for 2021 also. So we'll just see what they found in 2020. So 2020, that is the video also you can play and see. 3.1 tons of litter was found. Please mind you, it is the UK beaches. You actually think that they are all very clean and tidy. There itself, it is 3.1 tons of litter was found. So their mask was a disaster. That is, mask was a thing that was found. And they have found PPE kit, right? All these things have posed a threat to the oceans. Okay. Yeah. Now coming back. So the data that was procured from that beach cleaning activity, that is actually provided here, and they do an analysis and find out what kind of waste appears in UK beaches. So they can find out, right? Using this. So this is at another, there are two more sites. One is called Data World site and another is I think Data Dreamers. Actually, I closed that window, I suppose.
I think it's mentioned in your slides.
Yeah, Data Dreamers. There are also a lot of insights they have. Yeah, here you can see. See the PPE item. This is 2020, right? So you can see the 30% of the litter that was found is PPE. Now, can you relate the first video we saw and the data analysis part? So
Yes.
I just wanted to make you aware about the data, ocean cleaning being done in India also. Okay. So because most of the time, if you see data analysis projects that are done by our kids, it will be always, everything is pertaining to some Netherlands or something, because in India also things are getting done. So we should motivate students to take up data. So if you go to, I'll just, I hope you people will be knowing about that site. Sorry for the internet. I don't know what happened. Data.gov.in. Can you just type it and see? I'll just put in the chat. Yeah, it has come. So when you're asking your kids to build up, you can encourage the students to take up some data from this and do. So if you see here, there are data relating to transport, health, water. So last time when our kids did the data science projects, they took data from this websites and did. So when they take data from this website and do, they can actually go for national level hackathons also. Okay, so it will be useful for them, because if they win a national hackathon, there are some points in the CBSE, right?
Yes,
So,
yes.
yeah, this link also I'll post it. Sorry. It's a very good site where a lot of information is there. Renewable energy is there, water conservation is there, transport, health and living. So if you go to one of this, they made the look and feel also very nice. Each day it is, if you check this website too, each day you can see a lot of improvements in this website. Can you see here? This many data sets are available. So now you don't have any dearth of data in India itself. India itself data is available. So only thing is that, yeah, you can take up, because previously, if you see any of the data science, AI, machine learning project, you will always go to some US repository. Okay, there is a repository called UCI repository available. You will refer to that. But now please encourage students to take up data from this also, data.gov.in, so that India will also benefit by their projects. Yeah. Then we'll see the Google dashboard. I'll put this link. All of you can actually do it with me if possible. Have you got the link?
Yes.
Yeah. So you can sign in with your Gmail account itself.
Okay.
Are you people able to open it, the data studio?
It's just coming up.
Yeah, yeah. Has anyone opened it?
Just get, yeah, got it.
Yeah. So there you can actually take a blank report or click on this create or here and create your thing. And you can upload data sources if you have any and see the visualization. I'll just take one thing that is available here already. So you can see the analysis, because these kind of dashboards you will be seeing every day on the TV, right? So these dashboards you can easily build up with this data studio.
We can use the data from that data.gov and
Yeah.
then put it in this particular dashboard and
Yeah.
build our data, right?
Yeah. So these are all actually interactive kind of a chart, because when I move over the this thing, you can see, right?
Yes, yes.
I'm getting information. See,
Yeah, very right.
very interactive.
Yes, yes.
Because you will spend a lot of coding for doing this. Instead, you can actually build on it. So you can, it is all click and drag only. So you can explore it. So I'll show you some beautiful charts that can be done using. So there are two pack. Yeah. Have you used this Colab?
Yes, ma'am. We have used it before.
Yeah. So you can just in Colab, this is a tutorial that is available. This Python notebook I can share with you later. I'll just show you. So here there are two tools available, Seaborn and Matplotlib. Okay, so these are the two packages that you can use for your visualization. So using Matplotlib, a lot of charts can be made. So here, can you see? So the Python commands are import matplotlib.pyplot. So we import it as a PLT so that I needn't use matplotlib.pyplot every time. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
The Python notebook, can you see?
Yes.
Yeah. So this PLT, we use it so that every time I can refer it with the PLT itself. Then I have used two packages, NumPy for the arrays, NumPy arrays, and Pandas for the data frame that I have used. Now here, I am not uploaded any data, so I put np.random state, and I'm just plotting it. So can you see here? So this is with the matplot. Then with the Seaborn, okay. So you use import Seaborn as SNS, and you can use SNS as such. So you can see the quality of chart for the same data with the Seaborn and with the Matplotlib. Can you see this? So
Yes,
you
ma'am.
can at least 10 classes you can run for Pandas. 10 classes you can run for Matplotlib, 10 classes you can run for, I think by that you're almost like how many hours of AI will be there? Like per week, every day the session will be there? Or?
For me at school, we only have 4 days a week.
Yeah, 4 days a week. So that will be cool enough because you need to make them do it also. So when you are teaching it with the Colab, one suggestion I want to give you is never share the Python notebook with them. Make them to type with you. If the code is lengthy, you can, if it is an online mode, you can just share that piece of code with them in the chat box. if we just share the Python notebook, they will just switch off the just log in and run away from the meeting. Okay. So
Yeah, sure.
yeah. Then see, a lot of plots can be drawn. So I'll show you some of the plots. So here I have actually used the in SNS the Seaborn is lot of data sets is available in the Seaborn library itself. So one such library that is available is Iris. I think have you explored Seaborn?
No, ma'am, not yet.
Then, so here this Iris dataset is a very famous dataset that is used in all the machine learning programs. That is, you classify the flowers based on the sepal length, sepal width, petal length, and petal
Ati
width.
ma'am, do you have a question?
No, ma'am, not actually a question. Just wanted to add something which ma'am just said about these collab notebooks.
Yes,
Yeah.
Ma'am, what like we take AI for grade 9. I take that. So what we do is if we have to share something like this, so we make a PDF out of this collab and we share that with the students so that students know what they have to type and they can do it even after the class. Like even if they are not able to do it with us,
Please
they can
share
do it.
the PDF after the class. Don't give
Yes.
it before the class.
Yes, yes.
Because if you give it before the class also, they will copy paste.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that problem is there. So a lot of data sets are available in this SNS itself. If you are using the R tool also, a lot of data sets are available in that. So here, can you see this wonderful pair plot?
Yes.
So all these, so each chart will require at least one session. So the correlation between different variables can be found out. Then, yeah, then one more thing. I don't know whether it is there. There is overlay charts also available. I don't know whether I have put it in this. Otherwise, I can open that and show. Yeah, here can you see this? There is a scatter plot and a histogram also drawn. So you can have one chart overlaid over other. That is also possible. These pair plots are very interesting. And using the Seaborn, there is a thing called heat map that is available, which will actually give the correlation between different variables. It will give you in a color faded diagram. So by like looking at the color, the dark color indicates different things. So relationship between different attributes. So can you see this? This is a violin plot. Like it is also used for your univariate analysis. Hope you people have heard about box plot.
I have not.
Yeah, anybody else has heard about the box plot?
Yes, we do have in informatic practices.
So the box plot also can, actually box plot itself 2 sessions you can take. One is without the Python, you can give them a set of values and make them draw the box plot. Then you can introduce the Python code, how to do the box plot. Okay, so 2 sessions can be there. So for each chart, I think some of the charts, even 2 days, 2 session is also not enough for some of the charts because a lot of explanation need to be given. So this is similar to the box plot. It is a violin chart. So the plot is just like violin plot. This is all available in Seaborn. This, I think, violin plot is not available with Matplotlib. So there, some attributes are like this. So here I have given, right? Palette is light blue and pink. Okay, so each attribute it will come. So here, based on the gender we are doing. So the male shown like this, the count of women are shown like this. And yeah. Can you see this? It is partitioned and shown. The violin plots are very beautiful representation for getting a lot of insights. And can you see these lines? That is when we draw the box plot, you have to take minimum, maximum, median, and first quartile and the fifth quartile, third quartile you will take. So there are 5 points that you have to plot. So the same thing appears in your violin plot also. So here, if you see the this thing, you can see what. So here, one more attribute I have put. Hue is indicating the gender. So based on age, and so can you see here? Age is on the x-axis, and the split fraction is here. And I have represented the gender as a hue in each violin plot.
Bindu ma'am, what do
Yeah.
you mean when you say split frac?
That is, see, like usually in a 2-dimensional graph, I can represent only 2 features. But here I am actually represented 3 features. I put this gender also here. In the same violin plot I have, right? And this denote that 5-point summary. This is your first quartile, third quartile, and median. And yeah, these are all summaries. So this Python notebook, this is a free Python notebook only available. I think it is available with this textbook. This textbook is a very useful textbook for exploring these. I'll just show you. I have the textbook at the top. Yeah, practical Python data science handbook. I'll just share this Python notebook with you. Yeah, can we wind up for the day?
Yes, any questions or anything that the teachers would like to ask Bindu ma'am for guidance, or any doubts that you're having? Anybody who's already taking, like, right, Jyoti ma'am said, the second term for grade 12 is purely based on storytelling with data. So any questions from your side?
Anybody, any questions or queries?
Ma'am, I'm not asking about storytelling. My question, what is capstone project? It is given in term 1.
Yeah, that is the next session, right?
Yeah, that's the main project, Ambli ma'am, which the grade 12 is going to do.
Okay,
Capstone project.
Capstone project is full-fledged. That is, you are not just looking into, say, visualization or anything. I should be able to deliver it as a small product. Because we saw the different phases, right? All the phases will be completed and there will be a deliverable at the end of the day. That is what they think.
We have on September 4th another session coming up for capstone project.
That's good news, ma'am.
Yeah, because I know grade 12, all the teachers are actually, struggling to do this project, how to go ahead. So we have an extremely talented and an excellent resource person who is also Bindu ma'am's colleague. So she actually referred Danya ma'am for this, and Danya ma'am is, I've shared all the logbook and the project details with Danya ma'am. So she would walk us through the capstone project on September 4th. So if there are no more questions, I think we can wind up. I'm sure that all of us have benefit from the session, whether you're taking grade 9, 10, 11 or 12. Storytelling with data is at least a new concept for me, because storytelling has been always there and we know how important stories are in our life. But to be able to convey something through data in the form of story is a very interesting concept. And AI in grade 11 and 12 require us to assess our children on the basis of storytelling with data. So there were a couple of points that I had noted down as Bindu ma'am was taking her session. She had given us so many examples. Like before she started off with the topic, she gave us so many visual examples for us to understand what is the meaning of storytelling with data and what are some of the good visualization principles, some of the best design principles that we can use. And she used current data. Like all the data or information that she showed us was related to the present times. So these are some of the things that as an educator, I feel is very important when we are taking sessions for our students who belong to this generation, it's very important to give them data that they can connect to, they can, relate with. So, and she also explained different platforms, different tools. I was not aware of the Google dashboard for data. I was not aware of Miro. So there are so many different tools. Yes, I was aware of storytelling with data, but I was not aware whether we could be part of it, and then we can use different data that is available there. So there are many, many takeaways as far as I was concerned. So I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to Bindu ma'am for coming again and taking such an elaborate session. All the while I was thinking in my mind, okay, how is this going to be translated into my classrooms? So I have already started storytelling with data for grade 11. I just had one session with them. So this session actually gave me a very good insight on, okay, this is how I can take storytelling with data for my students. And this is how I can go about. These are some of the tools that I can be using. So thank you so much. So on behalf of all of us who are present here, thank you so much for coming here and helping us, take a very smooth walk through storytelling with data. Thank you so much, Bindu.
I also equally enjoyed the session. Only thing is that I couldn't make it much interactive. Like when you are thinking about the story, maybe you can take up Harry Potter, and there is a recent author our students read. I can actually put it forward to you because two of my neighbors, two kids are in 9th grade. Because my son used to read Tim King's or one of the paperback books. But nowadays the kids are not reading that book. Some other they were asking, Auntie, whether you have those books. So I couldn't understand at all. I'll just get the title from them and pass it on to you. Maybe if you tell the storytelling around that story, they will be able to build up. At another pointer I can tell you is, please take up some anime story. That they will be very much delighted.
Yeah, they would love, because children these days are so much into animes.
Yeah, anime. Yeah.
All
And
kinds
Harry
of
Potter
animes.
also is a very another good choice.
Yes.
Harry
Yeah, we will definitely consider all of that. So thank you, dear teachers. It had been a long time. I think August, this is the first session that we had for AI teacher community. And we will be having September 4th, we have a session on capstone project. Hope to see you all on September 4th for another session. So thank you all for coming and thank you all for joining. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Bindu ma'am, and thank you, Shibi ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.